The Bobby Moe Show, presented by Dollar Energy Fund and First Commonwealth Bank. First Commonwealth Bank is here to help you build financial confidence through everyday moments of life by supporting businesses to helping families find a house they love to call home and saving for whatever tomorrow brings. Visit a First Commonwealth office or visit fcbanking.com, member FDIC. Hello again, Chris Shovlin, voice of the Colonials, with head coach Andy Toole, the head men's basketball coach here at Robert Morris University, and coming off another big win over Mount St. Mary's, 68-59 just the other day. Coach, you talk about the Mount St. Mary's game, and the whole theme of the broadcast that we did and the whole theme of the day this past Sunday was a tie, because the series, when we went into it, and that was game 73 between your club and Mount St. Mary's, was tied at 36 wins apiece. You take a one-game advantage, and the game was tied 9 times. Yeah. And it just seems like there's just this tug of war going on between Mount St. Mary's and Robert Morris, whether we're in the same conference or not. They're now in the MAC, we're now in the Horizon League, but it continues.
And we try to explain that to our guys prior to going into the game. About the physicality, about the rivalry, about the history that we've had, whether it's NEC championship games, NEC semifinal games. Every time that we've gotten together with those guys in the 16 years that I've been a part of Robert Morris basketball, that's exactly what the game has been like. There's probably been 1 or 2 experiences that I've had where it's gotten lopsided one way or the other, but the majority of the time it's been high intensity, incredibly physical. Well played on the defensive side more than the offensive side, and everything is earned. There's nothing that's ever given, and yesterday was very much in that same vein.
Yeah, no question about it. And speaking of the defensive side, your defensive numbers were excellent. You held them 39.3% shooting from the field, 22.2% shooting from 3, and it was a real grind.
Yeah, and our staff was getting on me on the bus ride home yesterday. They said I contributed to 2 of the points with the technical foul that I got, so they were trying to put that on my ledger. But the defense was excellent. It seemed like there wasn't very many, if any, uncontested shots that were taken throughout the course of the game. As we went back and reviewed the film, there might have been 1 or 2 during the course of the game that were wide open shots. Everything else was contested. Everything else had to be earned. I thought our guys did a really good job of limiting some of the dribble penetration, handling a lot of the 2-man games that we saw throughout the course of possessions. And our defense has been very good these last 5 games, and yesterday was no exception.
Big win for Robert Morris at Mount St. Mary's, and it just keeps going back and forth. And you mentioned the technical foul, and I'm not trying to throw you under the bus or Michael Green the third, but he got the second one of the game. It's one of those types of rivalries where the 2 teams get each other going. They get them riled. You get riled up. You get each other riled up. You get under each other's skin.
Yeah, and with the utmost respect.
Yeah.
The number of coaches that have gone through this the time that I've been here, Milan Brown when we first got in the league, and Jamie and Christian, and now Dan Engelstad, those guys, they get their teams ready to play. They're well-coached teams. They're defensive first teams, and it gets chippy. I think when you look at somebody who's playing the game similarly to you, who seems to always be there every time you turn around, who seems to be bumping you every time the refs aren't looking, it's just going to create some of that intensity and some of that disdain, and you get emotional, you get invested, and I think both teams yesterday played that way. I think you saw, the first half tied at half. We were able to make a little bit of a run at the start of the first half and create a lead. They came storming right back, and then it became a possession-by-possession battle, for the last 7 minutes of that game, and fortunately we were able to win more of those possessions.
As defensively oriented that game was, there was some offense. Josh Corbin had 20 points, and he's gone off in the last couple of games.
Yeah, I think he needs such little time to get his shot off, and he's shooting it at such a good percentage. It's funny now when we get into timeouts, and we get in certain situations, we'll call a play or we'll talk about an action, and if that doesn't work, guys are saying, okay, where's Josh going to be? They're looking for him. They know that he just needs that small window to be able to get his 3 off, and you watch the opponent's bench when he gets some of those clean opportunities. As soon as the ball leaves his hand, they're already, hands are in the air, papers are being thrown, and it's it's a tribute to Josh and the work that he puts in, and we've got to keep doing a good job of finding opportunities for him. I know his teammates are looking for him. They're trying to set screens for him, and we got to keep doing a good job as coaches to try and make sure he gets his looks.
I was impressed. One of the three-pointers that he took happened right in front of the table where Jim Elias and I were sitting opposite you. It was a catch-and-shoot three, and it was a deep three. It was an NBA three. He caught it and shot it, and he was already celebrating the shot running back down the court. He knew that thing was in, and so did everybody in the house.
Yeah, there's been a couple times where, him and I, he'll either get hot during the course of a practice or even during the course of games, and, he'll, like, as soon as it leaves his hand, he knows that it's going in. And he had one of those a few weeks ago where he literally came flying off the floor, and he said, and it was at Central Michigan, he said, that was the purest shot I've ever taken, and that's saying something for a guy who shoots the ball as well as he does. But we got to make sure that we keep getting him the opportunities to get those shots up there, because it certainly helps our offense.
Let's talk about some of the other contributions. Enoch Cheeks, by the way, will be our guest in the second part of the Bobby Moe Show here today. He had 19 points, but he also had 11 rebounds. Khalil Spear had 11 points and 4 block shots. Michael Green had 6 assists in the game. Stephon Walker, who was playing in front of a lot of his home fans because he was from Washington, D.C. That's where he's from, and that's only an hour south of Mount St. Mary's. He had 8 rebounds in the game.
Yeah, 8 rebounds in 23 minutes. And I think that's, one of the things I think that certainly helped us on the defensive side is our improvement from a rebounding perspective. Khalil last year had some pretty strong rebounding numbers. Enoch always gets in there, but now with Steph, Jackson last, Josh Corbin will get in there and rebound. Guys coming off the bench, whether it's Matt Mayers, Chris Ford, guys getting in there and kind of scrapping out rebounds. It's been really helpful to us. And, I thought Enoch had a really, really, really good second half. He's gotten, a lot of hats that he's wearing, and he's handling the ball more than he has in the past. He's defending the best perimeter player on the other team, as usual, and making their lives difficult. And he did a good job on Jalen Benjamin, who was their leading scorer, as well as kind of got our run going in that second half with some really strong drives and some really big finishes. And so, he's had a terrific season. Mike is. It's a great luxury to have a guy like Mike, come into the game with the experience that he has, with the energy he can bring, with the playmaking skills he possesses. And so for him to be able to come off the bench in the role that he's in and play as many minutes as he does, it's a great luxury to kind of figure out, what kind of lineups to surround him with as we finish games. And, it's not always about who starts the game, but it's certainly a lot of times about who finishes. And Mike's a guy that's going to be out there finishing a lot of games for us. And, as we've discussed with Jim Elias as well, when Khalil is engaged on the defensive side, it just makes us so much stronger. He had 4 block shots. He probably altered 3 or 4 more shots, and it just sets the tone for your defense when people are trying to, get all the way to the basket and they're getting some intense pressure from the guy guarding them, but then Khalil's able to rotate over and really limit any opportunity they have to finish at the rim. And, he did a spectacular job of that in the second half. He just comes over, he's got great timing, great length. And I think what is unique, and good shot blockers do this, is he doesn't block it out of bounds. He had one yesterday that he blocked, and then he was able to recover himself. And I think that those are almost like creating. They don't go down as turnovers, but they almost become like a turnover for the opponent. And like I said, when Khalil is engaged on that defensive side, we are much stronger for it.
Sure. There was a new guy in the ball game the other day too. A guy wearing number 50, real big guy. I mean, who was that? Yeah,
Trey James made his debut for the Colonials, and we were happy to have him back. And he had worked so hard during the summer and the fall to kind of earn opportunity to be out on the court. And then right before our scrimmage against Miami, Ohio, he hurts his foot and had to be out for about 6-7 weeks, and still working off some rust. And there's still going to be a process to getting him fully acclimated. But just to have someone of his size and his strength in there is really helpful to us. The speed of the game yesterday was a little bit quick for him.
Sure.
But I think that because of the way that he works, the way that he allows himself to be coached, and his desire to just do whatever he can to help his team, we think that his learning curve will be small. And we hope to get him out there for more minutes as he continues to kind of get in the condition necessary to play for some sustained minutes.
Andy, I know we owe for a timeout, but just before the break, I have to ask you about Mount St. Mary's size. They had some big guys who started the ball game. It ended up turning into a guards game towards the end, but were you surprised that they didn't try to pound it a little more inside?
Well, I think that they do have a lot of size and strength. Malik Jefferson, who's in his 5th year there and is incredibly strong and physical, he's a certain level low post threat for them. Some of their other forwards are a little more hybrid. They don't do as much with their back to the basket. And so I think that played into our favor because I do think that they had, whether it was George Tinsley or Francique Barton, those guys were big and physical and aggressive. It's just not the nature of their game to traditionally play with their back to the basket. And so that's kind of the way they went. When they try to go inside, it is to Jefferson. And he was able to have some success last night, but we were able to come up with some big stops on him late.
Yeah, he ended up leading them in scoring in that game. All right, as I said, we owe for a timeout. We'll remind you that the Bobby Mo Show is presented by Dollar Energy Fund and First Commonwealth Bank. Dollar Energy Fund helping our neighbors in need maintain basic utility service since 1983. Visit dollarenergy.org or text WARM to 53555. By the way, spend the holidays with the Colonials and get your RMU basketball holiday pack. For only $10, you get a ticket and $5 in concession value for the RMU men's and women's Horizon League doubleheader games next week. Thursday, December 29th against Purdue Fort Wayne, and Saturday afternoon in a special New Year's Eve afternoon double dip against Cleveland State. Get your RMU holiday packs at rmucolonials.com. We continue with Coach Toole next here on the Bobby Mo Show.
Many families in our community are struggling to make ends meet and can't afford their monthly utility bills. They are at risk of a gas, water, or electric service shutoff, which could make it impossible to do even the most basic of household tasks. You can make a difference by making a donation to Dollar Energy Fund. Your contribution will be matched dollar for dollar by Dollar Energy Fund's utility partners, and 100% of all donations will be used to help local families maintain or restore utility services. Help your neighbors in need and donate today at dollarenergy.org.
At First Commonwealth Bank, we're excited to be your community bank, here to help you build greater financial confidence through the everyday moments of life. By supporting local businesses that strengthen communities, to helping families find a house they love to call home, and saving for whatever tomorrow brings. Visit any of our community offices to start your journey to better, or visit fcbanking.com. First Commonwealth Bank, member FDIC.
It's the Bobby Mo Show presented by Dollar Energy Fund and First Commonwealth Bank. Don't forget to support Dollar Energy Fund today and help your neighbors in need stay warm this winter. Find out how a small contribution can score big with those in need. Visit dollarenergyfund.org or text the word WARM, W-A-R-M, to 53555. Chris Shovlin back here with Andy Toole, the head coach of the Colonials. Finals are over. It's all said and done. The guys got through the finals week, I'm sure, okay. And it's the Christmas break right now. And I know you and I have talked over the past 13 years, going on 16 years now, since you were on the staff way back then as well, about what a pleasure it is for a basketball coach to have his team focused entirely on basketball. Classes are over, the semester's over, and now it's just hoops.
It is great, and I think they enjoy it, if not more than the coaches do, right? These guys love to play and be in the gym, and a number of guys were in here this morning getting shots up before we went through our walkthrough and practice today, and that's what they love to do. They love to be in the gym, and so guys are hanging in and out of the facility, and that's, as a coach, it's the way you like to have it. And I think there's some good energy and some good chemistry with this team, and guys enjoy working, guys enjoy being together, guys enjoy getting with the coaches and getting on the floor and watching some film or getting some extra shots up, and they have a lot of time to do so right now, and we want to try and take advantage of that so that we can continue to improve as much as we can during this break.
They say there's no place like home for the holidays, and you have 2 home games over the holidays. We just talked about a couple of them, but Purdue Fort Wayne is coming up next, and of course Cleveland State after that. Those are 2 games you're going to be preparing for right after the Christmas holidays, 29th and 31st. And, it's all Horizon League from here on in.
It is, and I think, you go through the non-conference portion of your schedule to try and get an idea of who you are as a team, what weaknesses you might have. Not that you still won't continue to learn as you get into conference play, but at least you have a little bit of a handle of what your rotation might look like, how you can kind of answer some of the challenges that are put forth by your conference opponents. And, Fort Wayne obviously picked first in the Horizon League by the coaches in the preseason poll, tied with Northern Kentucky, and then Cleveland State, the 2-time defending regular season champion, are our first 2 here at home during the holiday break. And they're both off to really good starts. Fort Wayne is a veteran squad. They returned so much of the team last year that won tied for the regular season championship with Cleveland State. Cleveland State, even though they have a new coach, they are working on some of the same old plays that they used to execute with the last coach. Their defense has been phenomenal to start this year. They make it really, really difficult on you to score. Super aggressive, and haven't really done a deep dive into either team, but just as you check scores and you try and follow everybody in your league, because in the non-conference you're rooting for those guys to go out and get wins and help grow the brand and build the momentum for Horizon League basketball. And then as soon as the calendar flips, they become your competitors, and you got to make sure that you're doing everything to prepare your team and get guys ready to handle, whether it's a great shooting team in Purdue Fort Wayne or a team that's going to make it really difficult for you to score in Cleveland State. And those challenges are going to be each and every time you step on the floor in Horizon League play.
Purdue Fort Wayne kind of looks like Mount St. Mary's West, too. I mean, Damian Chanqui is there. Bobby Planutis, who spent some time at Mount St. Mary's, is there. So you're going to see two more guys that you've seen time and time again.
Yeah, I'm getting tired of seeing some of these guys. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Damian and Bobby, those guys, again, have seen them a number of times in Northeast Conference play, and last year both had big games and made big shots against us in the two games that we played against them. And so I'll be helping them on senior night, walking those guys out and shaking their hands and saying, good luck in your next endeavor.
Guest escort, huh?
Yeah, correct.
I like it. What are your thoughts on the Horizon League so far as we've come to almost the New Year's, the start of the full-time play in the Horizon League? What teams have impressed you? What teams are you a little concerned about that you'll have to face in the new year?
Well, I think every team presents a lot of challenges. As you watch some of the early season scores, you don't get to see as many games until you get into actual scouting situations. But, you get clips here, you get clips there. I think our whole staff is constantly, as they're home at night, checking box scores and looking at scores across the country to kind of keep a pulse on what's going on. And, there's been some teams that have got off to some good starts. Obviously Northern Kentucky beat Cincinnati. Wright State beat Louisville in the non-conference. Those are two big wins. Youngstown State, I think, is a really talented team. They have done a great job of adding some pieces to a very good team from last year. Played Notre Dame very close, and I think they have 8-9 wins at this point in time. Purdue Fort Wayne, as we mentioned, who was picked to tied for first in the league, and then you look at teams like Detroit with Antoine Davis. Obviously the all-time leading scorer in Horizon League play. Has a chance to really become the all-time leading scorer in NCAA history during the course of this season. So as we look across the league, you just see a lot of teams that can present a lot of issues for you. Milwaukee has a new coaching staff. Don't know a whole lot about their style of play yet. I know they've won some games. They've had some success. They have some length. They have some new faces on their roster. So, each and every time as you kind of deep dive into these opponents, there's so much that you're learning. You're trying to figure out where the weaknesses might be. You're trying to figure out things that you got to try and the strengths that you got to try and limit. And so there's a lot of questions and a lot of challenges that arise.
You join me in wishing our fans and followers a very Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday season.
Absolutely.
All right, that's Coach Andy Toole. Robert Morris Athletics is proud to partner with Dollar Energy Fund and First Commonwealth Bank for the return of the Points for Power program. For every point scored by the RMU men's and women's basketball teams this season, $1 will be donated by First Commonwealth Bank and will be matched dollar for dollar by Dollar Energy Fund's utility partners to help local families keep their homes warm this winter, and that is a big deal, and we need to continue to contribute to that. Spend your weekends in January and February with RMU basketball at the UPMC Event Center, starting at just $30. Get your RMU weekend mini plan with 4 men's Horizon League showdowns or 6 women's Horizon League games. Buy your weekend mini plans at rmucolonials.com or call the RMU ticket hotline at 412-397-4949.